as the Intihuatana. This sacred pillar is in alignment with 4 mountain gods of supreme importance to the Inca, according to Johann Reinhard.
The Intihuatana is situated such that it's at a high point in the center of the entire complex. But at the same time, it's the center of this massive landscape, because you have, in the far distance, these great snow caps, the highest ones in the entire region.
They also happen to correspond to the cardinal directions. Its views to sacred peaks, proximity to the Holy River, and the alignment with 4 powerful mountain gods must have made this location irresistible to the Inca. But how did the first Inca emperor, Pachacuti, actually use Machu Picchu? Within the city, there was a distinctive royal residence. It's located near the first fountain, ensuring that the king would have the purest water to drink. It's also close to the holiest temples. But whether the city was Pachacuti's royal court, a religious center, or a military post remains a mystery. A reanalysis of the skeletons that Hiram Bingham found suggests a possible solution. During Bingham's excavation in 1912, his team mistakenly identified these skeletons as the Virgins of the Sun. Recently, they've been re-examined. If we could identify who these people were, it might explain how Machu Picchu was used. During his study, anthropologist John Verano found no evidence of violent injury. So these weren't soldiers. He also confirmed that their burials had been simple, with no high-value artifacts. That meant they weren't royalty. In their bones, Verano found hints that they weren't common laborers either. Instead, they were from a class of people in between.
I didn't see a lot of arthritis, even in the older adults at Machu Picchu, and that, again, made me think these are not people working really hard with, say, stonemasonry or dragging rocks up the hills.
A critical clue to their identity can be found in their diet through a technique called isotopic analysis. In this process, scientists vaporize a small sample of bone. They're looking for the chemical traces of the foods that have been absorbed into its structure. Among the vaporized particles, they found a high percentage of carbon-13 isotopes, which is the signature of corn. Though it's common in Peru today, in Inca times, corn was a royal food. In fact, pollen analysis of the soils from the hundreds of terraces here shows that the little food grown at the site was primarily corn. And, as John Verano found, corn leaves another signature.
Corn is rich in carbohydrates, it's not good for your teeth. So they had a lot of cavities, they had a lot of abscesses, a lot of tooth loss.
So although they weren't royals, these people frequently helped themselves to the royal corn. They also didn't do a lot of heavy labor. So what were they doing here?
In some ways, I guess you could see it as a big hotel staff. Caretakers and servants of the estate.
This was a large staff. Verano ultimately identified the remains of 177 individuals. The evidence is strong that Machu Picchu was a royal estate for the emperor, Pachacuti. This would have been a peaceful retreat where he and his courtiers would have come to rest, worship, and enjoy themselves, their needs tended to by well-trained royal servants.
And you can kind of imagine an entourage of the royalty coming from Cusco along the road, and everybody at Machu Picchu saying, whoops, let's get it ready, clean it up, and get food and so on, and welcome our guests.
But the new finds from the tombs at the nearby farming center of Parayacta don't seem to fit with this peaceful picture. The severe injuries in those skeletons suggest that Machu Picchu may have been connected to warfare. So how could Machu Picchu be a place of both war and peace? According to Spanish accounts, the Inca conquered this valley about a decade after Pachacuti came to power. So perhaps he built it as a way to seal his conquest.
Incas were very skilled in psychological warfare, and they decide to build this magnificent estate on the hilltop that everybody living up and down that valley is going to see, from the first thing they walk outside their door to the last thing that they go in bed at night. That's a very powerful thing. It's a message of conquest and of possession, that they own that land and they control the people who live within it.
So Machu Picchu was a formidable symbol of Inca power, a spectacular boast by Pachacuti, not just of their engineering prowess, but of their paramount link to the sacred mountains and rivers. Still, if this place played such a critical role in demonstrating the religious and military power of the Inca, why didn't the Spanish deface it, as they did to other sacred Inca sites? And why isn't it ever described in any Spanish accounts? Part of the answer lies in the Corpus Christi procession back in Cusco, the annual festival that is a Christian revision of an Inca ritual. In that ritual, the Inca carried mummies instead of saints, especially the mummies of their kings. When Pachacuti died in 1471, he wasn't buried. He was mummified. The exact process is unknown. One theory suggests his body would have been gradually freeze-dried, left out in the searing sun by day, and alternately frozen at night. Through this repeated heating, freezing, and thawing, the corpse would have become completely desiccated. Curiously, this is similar to how the local Quechua people preserve llama meat. The result is jerky, which is one of the few Quechua words used in English. Once preserved, Pachacuti would not have been entombed. Instead, he would have continued to play an active role in the politics and rituals of the Inca world. Drawings made by the Incan artist, Guaman Poma, confirm the use of mummies in this way.
We don't actually have a mummy of an Inca emperor, but we have descriptions of them. And we know that they were taken out during major festivals and paraded. We know that they had attendants who would shoo away the flies and give offerings every day, food offerings and drink to the mummies. In other words, they were worshipped and believed to still play a role in the community.
Care and handling of the mummy would have fallen to a group of family members called the Panaka, who also took control of all the king's royal estates. But over time, even Pachacuti's Panaka could have run short of resources. Work at Machu Picchu may have slowed, then stopped altogether. the descendants of Pachacuti had more pressing concerns. Even before the Spanish conquest, smallpox came. It was followed by a bloody civil war that left the Inca Empire weakened and fragmented. Barely 60 years after Pachacuti died, the Inca Empire finally collapsed under the Spanish invasion.
When the royal families had lost their power, they were disorganized, there was civil war, there was massive destruction of sites, and the people at Machu Picchu probably at some point just said, well, nobody's coming to visit, and the site really had no reason to exist at that point.
By then, it is likely that all but the royal servants had forgotten Machu Picchu. And after time, even they probably just drifted away. So the Spanish probably never heard about Machu Picchu, and more importantly, never found it. It was, for us, the luckiest mistake. It meant that Machu Picchu was left untouched, one of the only major Inca sites to remain intact. While it still poses confounding mysteries, it also holds great promise as new technologies and finds allow us to come to terms with the ghosts of Machu Picchu.